TIFU by accidentally replying all to my entire company email about my hot mic moment during a meeting. So, working from home has its perks, but also its very real dangers. I've been pretty good at navigating the pitfalls so far, muting myself during meetings when the dog barks, remembering to wear pants for video calls, the usual stuff. I thought I had it down. I was wrong. Yesterday we had an all-hands company meeting. It was the usual corporate jargon bingo, but mandatory attendance, so there I was pretending to pay attention while actually browsing Reddit on my phone. The CEO was droning on about quarterly projections when my stomach decided to stage a very loud, very public protest. You know, the kind that makes you wince and hope no one else heard it. Except apparently everyone heard it, because immediately after, in the chat window of the meeting, which I had open on my second monitor thankfully, a few people started typing LOL and someone's hungry. Embarrassing but manageable, I quickly typed a private message to one of my colleagues who was laughing the hardest, something along the lines of, "Sorry, that was me, working from home life," intended to be a lighthearted, self-deprecating joke. You know, play it cool. Here's where the TIFU part comes in. Instead of sending a private message to my colleague, I somehow, in my haste and mortification, managed to hit reply all to the entire company email thread that was linked to the meeting invite. And instead of just "Sorry, that was me, working from home life," what my mortified fingers actually typed was, "Yes, sorry, that was me. My stomach just made a noise like a dying walrus. Guess these quarterly projections are making even my digestive system revolt. Maybe if they were less boring, my gut would be quieter." Just a thought. I realized my mistake approximately 0.3 seconds after hitting send. My blood ran cold. I stared at my screen, horrified, as replies started flooding in. Not just from my immediate team, but from VPs, directors, even the CEO himself. A few were polite chuckles, some were just awkward silences in email form. But then came the HR email CCing my manager, asking me to schedule a brief chat to discuss professional communication in the workplace. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be chatting about my professional communication and dying walrus stomachs for a while. And I'm definitely going to triple check who I'm messaging before hitting send from now on. Maybe I should just stick to carrier pigeons from now on. At least they can't reply all to the entire company. Oh man, the reply all fear is real. We've all been there. Maybe not with a dying walrus stomach announcement, but close enough. Hit that subscribe button if you've ever felt this kind of workplace dread. TIFU by accidentally setting my kitchen on fire while trying to impress my date with homemade pizza. So I've been seeing this girl, Sarah, for a few weeks and things were going really well. I wanted to step up my game and cook for her. I'm not exactly a culinary genius, but I can usually manage to not burn water. Pizza seemed like a safe bet, classic, relatively easy, and everyone loves pizza, right? I decided to go for the homemade angle, impress her with my domestic skills, except my definition of homemade is slightly liberal. I bought pre-made dough, pre-shredded cheese, pre-sliced pepperoni, and a jar of sauce, homemade in spirit maybe. Anyway, I laid out all the ingredients feeling like a regular Chef Ramsay. Sarah arrived and I ushered her into the kitchen, gesturing grandly at my pizza making station. She seemed impressed, or at least politely pretended to be. We started assembling the pizzas. Hers was vegetarian and sensible. Mine was a meat lover's monstrosity piled high with pepperoni, sausage, and bacon. I preheated the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, or so I thought. Turns out in my culinary excitement, I accidentally set it to broil instead of bake. A crucial difference, as I was about to discover. We put the pizzas in and I set a timer for 15 minutes, the time recommended on the dough package. We went to the living room to chat, feeling all domestic and cozy. About 5 minutes later, we started smelling something, smoky. I initially dismissed it as just the pizza cooking, maybe a little cheese caramelizing, but the smell got stronger and Sarah started looking concerned. I went back to the kitchen to check and was greeted by a scene straight out of a disaster movie. Flames were licking out from the top of the oven, smoke was billowing everywhere, and the pepperoni on my pizza was fully engulfed in fire. Turns out, broiling at 400 degrees Fahrenheit is less crispy crust and more inferno in your kitchen. Panic ensued. I yelled for Sarah to grab the fire extinguisher. Thankfully, I actually had one, and we proceeded to unleash a cloud of white powder all over my kitchen. extinguishing the oven fire, but also coating everything else in a fine layer of chemical dust. The pizza, needless to say, was beyond salvage. The kitchen looked like a bomb had gone off, and my romantic dinner, ruined. Sarah, bless her heart, was surprisingly calm and helpful amidst the chaos. She even helped me clean up some of the fire extinguisher mess after we ordered takeout because, well, no pizza. But I'm pretty sure setting the kitchen on fire on the second date isn't exactly a recipe for relationship success. At least not for a relationship where cooking is involved. Maybe we should just stick to takeout from now on, and definitely no more homemade pizza attempts. TIFU by accidentally live streaming my entire embarrassing therapy session on Twitch. Okay, so this one is going to take a bit of explaining. I'm a fairly regular Twitch streamer, mostly gaming stuff, nothing huge, but I have a small dedicated community. I also started going to therapy recently to deal with some, let's just say, life stuff. My therapist is great and it's been really helpful, but I'm still a little self-conscious about the whole thing, especially since most of my online persona is very chill gamer dude. My therapy sessions are virtual, over video call, which is convenient, but also opens up a whole new world of potential screw-ups. I usually have my streaming setup running in the background, just in case I want to hop on and do a quick impromptu stream after my session. Normally, I'm super careful to make sure everything is muted and offline when I'm in therapy, but yesterday I messed up big time. Session started as usual. We were talking about some pretty personal and emotional stuff, the usual therapy fare. About halfway through, my therapist paused and said, "Are you aware that your camera is on?" I was confused. My camera on for the therapy call? Yes, obviously, but then I realized she wasn't talking about the therapy video call camera. She was looking at my webcam, the one connected to my streaming PC. My blood ran cold. I frantically alt-tabbed over to my streaming software, and there it was staring back at me in all its horrifying glory. OBS Studio, live broadcasting to Twitch, and not just a static screen or a BRB message. No, it was actively streaming my entire therapy session, complete with me sobbing about my childhood trauma, my therapist's insightful and now publicly available commentary, and the very unflattering angle of my webcam. I panicked and slammed the end stream button, but it was too late. Twitch chat was already exploding. People were spamming emotes asking WTF is going on. It, and some, bless their souls, were actually concerned and telling me to end the stream immediately. I quickly deleted the VOD, hoping against hope that not too many people had actually seen it, but the damage was done. My phone started blowing up with messages from friends, stream viewers, even my mom, who apparently lurks in my Twitch chat, who knew. Everyone had seen it. My deeply personal, emotionally vulnerable therapy session was now public internet fodder. I'm mortified. Embarrassed doesn't even begin to cover it. I've basically exposed my entire emotional underbelly to the internet. I don't know if I can ever face my Twitch community again, or my therapist for that matter. How do you even explain this? Sorry I accidentally broadcast my emotional breakdown to thousands of people. My bad. I guess the silver lining is that at least it was good therapy content. Maybe I can rebrand as a vulnerable therapy streamer. They're probably not. I think I'm just gonna crawl into a hole and delete my internet presence for a while. Lesson learned: double, triple, quadruple check your streaming setup before you start talking about your feelings. Seriously. Oh my god, live streaming therapy? That's next level TIFU, but is there a tiny bit of bravery in the vulnerability? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. TIFU by using my grandma's special tea for my upset stomach, only to discover it wasn't tea at all. My grandma, bless her soul, is a firm believer in natural remedies. Whenever I'm feeling under the weather, she always has some special concoction or home-brewed potion to offer. Usually it's something vaguely herbal and probably harmless, even if it doesn't actually do anything. So when I woke up yesterday with a stomach that felt like it was trying to stage a hostile takeover of my entire digestive system, I wasn't too surprised when she offered me her special stomach-soothing tea. She keeps it in a plain, unlabeled jar in the pantry. It's a dark, leafy mixture, smells vaguely earthy, and she always brews it for me with a knowing smile, telling me it's an old family recipe. I've had it before, and while I can't say it magically cured me, it always seemed to help a little. Placebo effect? Maybe. Grandma magic? Possibly. Either way, I was desperate for relief, so I gratefully accepted a mug. The tea tasted strong, very earthy, almost bitter, with a weirdly floral aftertaste. But I choked it down, figuring Grandma knows best. Within about half an hour, my stomach did start to feel a little better, which I attributed to the special tea working its magic. I even managed to eat a piece of toast, feeling like I was on the road to recovery. Then things started to get weird. I started feeling lightheaded. My vision seemed a little blurry, and I had this strange, floaty sensation. I initially thought it was just the lingering effects of my upset stomach, but it kept getting stronger. I felt giggly, and everything seemed incredibly funny for no reason. I found myself staring at the wall and laughing hysterically at a dust bunny. It was at this point that I started to suspect that maybe, just maybe, Grandma's special stomach-soothing tea wasn't exactly tea. I went back to the pantry and cautiously examined the unlabeled jar, sniffed it again. The earthy floral smell was definitely stronger now, and there was something else. A faint, almost smoky undertone. Suddenly it hit me. My grandma, she'd always been a bit of a free spirit. She grew up in the 60s, went to Woodstock, and has a suspiciously large collection of tie-dye scarves, and she's always been a bit vague about the ingredients in her special remedies. I cautiously googled earthy, leafy tea, bitter, floral, smoky, and the first result that popped up was catnip tea effects. Catnip. As in the stuff you give to cats to make them go bonkers. Could it be? Could my grandma's special stomach-soothing tea be catnip tea? I called my mom, trying to keep a straight face while explaining my increasingly bizarre symptoms and my catnip tea theory. My mom burst out laughing. Apparently my grandma, in her infinite wisdom, had decided that catnip, known for its calming effects on cats, would also be calming for human stomachs. And she'd been giving it to me for years under the guise of special family recipe tea. So yeah, I spent the rest of the day mildly high on catnip, giggling at dust bunnies and having philosophical conversations with the houseplants. My stomach did feel better, I guess, but I'm pretty sure the soothing effect was less about stomach relief and more about being too blissed out to care about stomach pain. I'm going to have a very serious, but also very amused conversation with my grandma about her special tea later. And maybe invest in some actual stomach medicine, and definitely label all unlabeled jars in her pantry from now on. Lesson learned: always ask for the ingredients before drinking grandma's special tea, especially if your grandma is a former hippie. Grandma's special tea, turns out it's catnip. This is peak our TIFU. Hope you're having a better day than OP, and if you like this, smash that like button and subscribe for more tales of woe. Catch you in the next video.